mean, in other words, think about even in the first 5 books of the Bible, you know, when you go to Genesis and Numbers, Deuteronomy, Leviticus, Exodus is the bridge between the Egyptian and what comes after. It's actually very simple, and the theologians don't have a debate about it. In the ancient Egyptian language, mesu means to be born. It's a simple word, mesu, and you see it in a lot of people's names. Jehudi Mes means born of Jehudi, this kind of thing. Moses is raised in the pharaonic house. He's raised as a prince. He's raised in the royalty. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, how is he talking to these Hebrews? He learned the language. If these Hebrews were in captivity, we ain't gonna read the Bible as a history book. John Henry Clark said he can't do it. But I didn't want to interrupt you. Please, because it is a book of faith. And this is the important thing to, as you say, as you're about to continue. So I didn't want to interrupt you. I just want to make that point that you're raising. You're reading things and they look familiar because that is the parent. You're reading the parent of what we have in this book. But of course, it doesn't end with the first 5 books. Now you get into the politics of the region, Kings and Daniel and all, you know, now you get into the politics. And then of course, they have to do what? They've got to build a bridge, because this entire document is not coming out of the first of the Abrahamic faith traditions, out of Judaism. It is dictated by the second to emerge, which is Christianity. So in order for Christianity to emerge, you got to tie it to all that other stuff. And where do they do that? They don't do that in the Old Testament. They do it in the first pages of the New Testament. This is the bloodline, the genealogy of Jesus Christ. And then they tie Christ through the begets all the way back and say, now that we've done that, let us move on. It's like, wait, you tied these holes with this little thin piece of, yes, because everything they said was going to happen in the Old Testament is going to come to pass, but this guy had to come. What is this guy? Zeers Miles? Is not Zeers Miles. Jack Miles wrote a book called Christ, A Crisis in the Mind of God. I mean, the whole idea that in order to tie us together to a divine purpose in these ways of knowing, in these particular faith traditions, you've got to have something that bridge. And what is the bridge? Somebody that's human and divine, which is why the Africans, once that kind of concept leaves Africa, comes through Europe and comes back into West Africa and is used to justify enslavement, the Africans looking at these Europeans, the Portuguese, they're looking at the Catholics, really is what you're talking about, Portugal and Spain. They're looking at them like, hold on, you saying this guy is divine and a human? They say, yes, like that's a revelation. The Africans looking like, duh. First of all, why did y'all split the divine and human? We all divine. I mean, the way they were able to sell the Africans on Christianity was to say, oh, is that what y'all believe? Yeah. Okay, well, guess what then? Jesus Christ, he's an ancestor. And they said, oh, okay, we understand that. Because you can't convert people in Africana ways of knowing that come out of the continent, spiritual traditions. You can't convert them to your belief system because there's a very simple principle that's in operation. There is no access to divine except through your ancestors. Because for them, they say everything that happened is like a speech. And that speech comes down through time and space till it reached me. And so I am the speech of my parents. In other words, when that egg and that semen came together, that was the speech of 2 people. I am that. And their grandparents, the speech, all the way back to the first speech, which is not an explosion. See, y'all will watch this and say, we planned this. We did not. Neil deGrasse Tyson, of course he is not an atheist.
Summer's gone. The breeze stops blowing. The sun just leaves the sky.
Yeah, this your life, you can play with it. You make your bed, you gon' lay in it. Do your thing, just be safe with it. Triple bunks in the state prison. Blue laces in my blue chucks. I ain't never gave 2 bucks. BT, I chunked the hood up. Asking if that nigga nip hood, what? Like I wouldn't take it to.
So now, Jesus' family line in terms of as a dynasty was the Hasmonean dynasty at the time. And their symbol of their household was a panther, a black panther.
Did you see yourself?
What? Of course I did.
Because that's you. I mean,
man, listen, that's why
you.
That's why it affected me like that, because I'm like, damn, you know, whoever wrote this, and obviously we know who wrote it, but I'm like, this dude, man, you know, he spoke to some real shit, because My dad is from Africa, but I was raised in South Central LA.